Chicago Cubs fans, welcome back to the channel. Before we get into it, jersey of the day for you guys. We have one of the blue away jerseys, and today we have on Patrick Wisdom, giving him a little bit of honor today as he was designated for assignment, cleared waivers, and then non-tendered by the Chicago Cubs. Hey, listen, if you like the video today, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so we can beat the YouTube algorithm. With that, let's get into it, my friends. So I had posted a video about the tender deadline and what was going on with the tender deadline, who was staying, who was going. And I had broken that down into a couple of shorts. And on this one specifically, the Nick Madrigal short video, I had a really good back and forth in the comments with one of my subscribers. And he brought up some really good points. I think that he liked some of the points that I had brought up. So I wanted to bring this into a little bit of a longer form video for you guys today and kind of talk about what the Cubs have going on now that Wisdom and Madrigal have been moved on from. What does that open up in the infield, since that's where they predominantly played, and what can the Cubs do with that situation? So when I had said that Madrigal was let go, I had also spoken about later in that video, like the long form video, that Mike Tauchman had also been moved on from. And I was surprised by that one because I kind of more expected like a Miles Mastroboni to go, not so much Mike Tauchman. And I think that they're really putting their chips on PCA growing in the outfield as far as his defense goes and his at-bats go, because he did have that uptick at the beginning of the season. However, this is mainly about infield talk here. And, his first top comment was, hopefully the Cubs get something for Wisdom and Madrigal, meaning that they get something to replace those two players as one. And when you're giving up two infield utility guys, I believe that they have to be in on someone like Adames, mainly because of the connection to Craig Counsell. So I also anticipate talks about Nico Hoerner being traded ramping up here shortly, because they're kind of already moving in that direction as far as getting rid of some utility players. And they do need, a solid bat on the infield, because who you got is Michael Busch, Dansby Swanson, and Isaac Paredes. And I also believe that Paredes might be a player that could be traded probably at the deadline this year. I'm not 100% sure. However, this subscriber, commenter 007 here, his comment says that does make sense about Adames, but where would they play him though? He plays shortstop and Swanson, and you got Swanson there, and he can't be traded because of his contract. Adames said he would be willing to play third base, but the Cubs have Paredes there. So do you think that the Cubs trade Paredes, who is 4 years younger than Adames? The way that Jed has structured this roster, he really boxed himself in. I'm all in on trading Nico, but will they get a fair price since he's coming off of a tendon surgery? I think that any team that would be interested would definitely want to see him play first to make sure that he is healthy. If they trade Nico, they can play Busch at second, put Paredes at first. Would you be open up, which you would open up third for Adames? Would you bring up Matt Shaw to take over second base? I just don't know what the best options are. Well, with that comment, in my opinion, I believe that Adames said he would play second or third. I don't think he just said third base. So, I mean, you kind of do have a couple of those options there. Did Jed Hoyer box himself in with the roster the last 2 years? I would say yes. However, I do think that him moving on from Wisdom, Madrigal, and Tauchman, I do think he's actually beginning to really try to unbox himself from that roster situation. I'm not I'm not 100% sure that I would move Michael Busch off of first base. I think that he plays really good first base. I know that for a little while there, at least for a good stretch during the summer, he was in, a lot of people said that he should be put in discussions for a Gold Glove because his defense was just that good for quite a chunk of the season. He another one of those guys at the end of the season that was really starting to figure out how to take pitches and make sure that you're not exactly being an easy out, basically. And so, would you bring up Matt Shaw and put him over at first base? Really, I think that you could. In the way that I worded this in the following comment was, I know that they just tendered Paredes for this season, so I doubt that he would be traded before the season starts, maybe at the deadline. And with Michael Busch, I would keep him at first base at all costs. That's where he's played all season. That's where he was in talks for a Gold Glove at one point during the season. If you do go and get a guy like Adames that would play second or third for you, which would probably be second at that point, if you were to bring Matt Shaw up in the mix, I would use him as a guy either off the bench, or if you had to give Adames or Michael Busch a day off. Like, that's how I would use him. If you have the room on the 40-man or on the 26-man during the regular season, that's exactly how I would use Matt Shaw. So really, there are options there. There is a way that you could make that work. It all solely depends on. It all really depends on what happens with Nico Hoerner before the regular season starts. I believe that. It could also be a platooning Busch and Shaw at first base, or Nico and Shaw at second base, or Adames and Shaw at second base. It really just depends on what the set roster is going into day one of the season. I still believe that they are heavily in on Adames simply for the fact that he has a very long history with Craig Counsell. I think that could really legitimately be a driving force in getting him in Chicago. That is just my opinion. And then also, I added a side note after that and said, side note, if you could get solid bullpen help or MLB-ready arms for Nico, I would be happy. I want bullpen arms. I do not want position players out of Nico Hoerner. I don't think that position players are the way to go anymore. I think that, to be fair, to give Jed his credit, I think that Jed has been really good at building out the farm system with trades and the draft. I just don't think that position players are really needed in trades if you make them before the season starts. But yeah, like I said, I would use, and then that's when I followed up and I had said, if you trade Nico Hoerner and sign Adames, I would use Shaw as a bench guy, rotation guy with Busch or Adames when they need days off, and then later trade Paredes at the deadline and shift Adames to third. That's how I would play that. I would like to say that's a perfect plan for how that could work out, but we all know how Jed Hoyer is, so that would 100% be up to him, really. And then, commenter 007 here says, that sounds good. I'm definitely not sold on Paredes, and Adames definitely proved himself, and like you said, Adames has history with Counsell. I do think that young players will take a big step forward this coming season. Adding Adames would be a big help to them and the team. The Cubs are really good at starting pitching, and if they can add a young guy from Japan, which neither one of us could recall his name, that would be a good arm in the pen, and the Cubs could overtake the Brewers and the Central. Yes, 100%. I think that Adames and a good pitcher, alone could give you an extra 3 to 4 wins on the season, depending on who that pitcher is, which is what I commented on right below this. I said that I'm not sold on the Cubs getting more Japan guys. Suzuki really didn't exactly work out in right field. He is now our dominant DH, which, to be fair, at the DH spot, he did get better at the plate. But really, the only guy that really took off right from the get-go for us was Imanaga. So I had said that, yeah, I'm not 100% sold on Paredes either, but his production is a bit more consistent than Morel, so I could see that being is why the Cubs might hold on to him past any trade deadlines. I'm iffy on Amaya, but I still believe that he will take a step forward like PCA because they both kind of ramped up at the same time at the end of the season last year. And then I said, as pitchers go, I said I really like Max Fried from Atlanta. I believe that he would be a strong target for the Chicago Cubs, especially if you could package him and Travis d'Arnaud up at the same time. That would be very similar to what you saw with. It would be very similar to what you saw with David Ross and John Lester when the Cubs did that in 2015. So I can see that the Cubs are going the right way. I think that Jed is starting to get back into the same mentality pitching-wise because I had also mentioned that there is that time from 2020 to 2023 where Jed Hoyer was just outstanding with bullpen guys. He was getting really good bullpen guys left and right. He was using them for trade ships. He was keeping a couple of them. There was a period of time where the Cubs had one of the best bullpens in the National League and in the league as a whole. So there has been times where Jed has really done outstanding with the pitching. I think that he's done really well with starting pitching the last few years, given the injuries that they've had to deal with and the guys that they have worked up into the rotation and things like that. I think that he's starting to turn it around and get the right kind of bullpen guys. I think that he set up a semi-decent bullpen at the beginning of the year, had it not been for all the injuries, and then at the deadline, being able to get a couple of arms that helped. They brought back some really nice pitchers for next year, which was good to see because usually that would be guys that would be non-tendered in the past. So I think that Jed is starting to move in the right direction with the pitchers. I'm just more so focused on what they do with a middle infield spot. If they trade Nico, do they bring someone in like Adames? I think that time will tell. I'm really excited for the winter meetings because I think that the winter meetings are going to be very telling, which I did mention in my comments back and forth with commenter 007 here. I do think that the Cubs 100%. Their season is the tone for the season will be set with the winter meetings. If they don't come out of the winter meetings with a big signing, either in a positional player or a strong pitcher, I think a starting pitcher, not a bullpen guy, a starting pitcher. I think that will set the tone for the 2025 season. And with that, Cubs fans, you let me know your comments below. Do you agree with commenter 007 here? Do you agree with some of the things that I said? Let me know down below what your thoughts are. We'll see what happens with the offseason, how it progresses. We still got a ways to go until spring training, so there's still time for things to be done. But make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so we can beat the YouTube algorithm. And with that, we now get ready for the Bears game because kickoff is in a couple of hours. Go Cubs go, Bear down, and I will catch you guys in the next episode, my friends.